Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Bermuda, which is part of the United Kingdom. Bermuda, we should start off by saying, is not a Caribbean island. I repeat, Bermuda is not in the Caribbean. Bermuda is closely associated with the Caribbean, mainly because of one, the Bermuda Triangle, which we'll save for the Google Earth portion so I can draw out the triangle for you. I say as I make a circle, so I can draw out the triangle for you. And two, I think because of the Beach Boys song, Kokomo, which has been in my head 4 days while I've been researching this. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama, so on and so forth. It is not in the Caribbean at all. It is in the North Atlantic Ocean. The closest land mainland that it is to is North Carolina in the United States, which will tell you how far from the Caribbean it in fact is. But it's still very nice. The weather here is pretty great because of that Gulf Stream flowing across the Atlantic from up in the British Isles and Ireland all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Just this river of warm water flowing through the ocean, which is what creates all the hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. But it keeps places like Bermuda nice and cozy. There are 7 main islands in Bermuda. They are Ireland Island North, Ireland Island South, Boaz Island, Somerset Island, the main island, or Bermuda Island, obviously the biggest one. There's St. David's Island up here, and St. George Island up here. But you can see all the other little tiny islands and archipelagos in there. There are 181 islands total in Bermuda, and they are limestone islands formed by an undersea volcano. But you can see all the coral around it. There's loads and loads of coral, which is actually very important to its history. We probably wouldn't even be talking about Bermuda today if not for the coral reefs, which we'll talk about in history. The capital here is Hamilton. And, any rivers or lakes? No, there is not. Not a single one. But there are aquifers, which are like underground freshwater little capsules. So it's not that they're want for fresh water or anything. There's plenty. Plus they get lots of rain as well. The islands are pretty forested, actually. I know you think Caribbean, although we're not in the Caribbean, but you would expect an island or the islands like Bermuda to have like all the palm trees and coconuts. It's actually covered in like cedar trees with mangroves along the coast. Really beautiful. And I'm trying to think of anything else in geography I need to tell you about, but I think it's all going to come up in history, so let's go into the history portion. This archipelago, these islands, were not inhabited for a very, very long time. They were first spotted by the Spanish. The guy who spotted it was named Juan de Bermudez, hence the name, in 1505, although it is debatable when exactly it was first spotted, but that's when it's most commonly agreed to that that's when it was first found. He actually returned here in 1515 to release a bunch of wild pigs to be used for like sailors who lose their way and they're starving, they're lost in the ocean. If they find this island, they can get some bacon. Which did happen for the Spanish and the Portuguese. If they got blown off course, they could come here and hunt pigs and things, but they never settled here. And you might say, oh, it's because, they had so many other lucrative places to go. They, didn't want to live on a tiny island. Those are not the reasons why. They did not want to stay here because they thought it was haunted, which I think is hilarious. They would hear weird noises at night. They'd hear the birds, maybe pigs at night, and they thought it was ghosts. So they stayed away from these islands because they thought it was full of ghosts. That's a fun bit of history. Good trivia too. Why didn't the Spanish colonize Bermuda? They thought it was haunted. This island was actually colonized by accident. In 1609, a series of ships was heading from Great Britain to Jamestown in Virginia, which had just been established 2 years earlier as like the main base of colonization in what's now North America, what's now the United States, right? One of those ships was called the Sea Venture. And these ships were hit by a hurricane, and the Sea Venture got blown off course. They crashed into the coral up here, which thankfully kept the ship from sinking. Everyone aboard survived and were fine. But they crashed in this coral and hopped off the island right here. We can see St. Catherine Point. That's where they landed. They were like, well, these islands are kind of nice. And they named this island Somerset after their leader named George Somers. And like everything to do with Bermuda from their standpoint was like Somers blanky blank. Fill in the blank. And they were like, it's kind of nice. We kind of would rather live here, especially when they found out that Jamestown was not great. Was having some pretty hard times for various reasons. They're like, why would we leave and go to Jamestown? We can just be on this beautiful island. I mean, pro and con list, the pros outweigh all those cons. So they started pretty much the British Crown, Great Britain, started its own company here in Bermuda. The like Somers Company, something or other. It was all Somers, blah, blah, blah. In 1612, they founded St. George up here, which is today the oldest continuously inhabited town that was founded by the British in the New World. Jamestown did not survive. I think it's a living museum now. But yeah, St. George, another good trivia. Where can you find the oldest continuously inhabited British town in the Western Hemisphere? It's in Bermuda. It's St. George. And the islands here actually did pretty well, not nearly as well as their colonies on the mainland. But well, nonetheless, the island was greatly diversified by slaves coming over, indentured servants coming over, and any pesky upstarts over in the mainland or the Caribbean were brought over here. So Native Americans, Mexicans, Cubans, they're just sent here and figure yourselves out, get a job, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of used as a penal colony as well for all those upstarts. You know what I mean. So that's why Bermuda has very diverse cultures, groups, peoples today. It officially became a colony in 1648 and a military base as well. Many bases would be built throughout Bermuda in its history, used by Great Britain, the United States, and Canada primarily, but we'll touch on that later in history. In 1790, they began construction on Hamilton, and it became the new capital in 1815. Now, Bermuda gets thrown into the middle of a lot of conflicts over in what's now the United States and Canada sometimes. During the Revolutionary War, the American colonists, rebels, would come over here and buy some under-the-counter gunpowder. They would avoid the blockades. Because, anything to make a buck. They weren't invested, apparently. They were a, jumping off point. During the War of 1812, the British would station here and sail back and forth for supplies. During the American Civil War, this was used to once again avoid the blockade. I think they played both sides. I'm pretty sure they catered to the North and the South. Anything for a buck. Also anything for a buck during Prohibition in the United States when alcohol was illegal. Oh, you bet they were selling alcohol. You bet people were sailing over from North Carolina to buy alcohol. Absolutely. Why not? Anything for a buck, right? Jumping a bit ahead in history, in 1973, the governor of Bermuda was assassinated. And it was to bring attention to and oppose the racial discrimination and inequality on the island. And it was, Bermuda's Black Lives Matter moment. There were many protests and riots and things like that, really drawing attention to the fact that racial inequality was ever present. Not so much nowadays, but at the time, very much so. In 1995, also because of that racial unrest, there was a referendum for independence, which wound up failing. So Bermuda is still part of the United Kingdom. People here are British citizens. It was also in that year, 1995, that the last naval base closed. It's this one over here. Oh, I completely forgot. It's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I forgot to show you that from the get-go, which is going to be hard to show you because I'm super zoomed in. So let's see how this will work. Actually, if I flip my tablet this way. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Perfect. The historic town of St. George and related fortifications. Okay, I lied. It wasn't. It wasn't this military base. It's this military base up here. There's a really cool one up here we'll take a look at, but there's a bunch all over the islands. But it's this one up here. It's not this one. It's this one. The National Museum's over here. I think that's why I thought that. It's over here. I lied. St. George. Let's read this. It says, the town of St. George, founded in 1612, is an outstanding example of the earliest English urban settlement in the New World. Its associated fortifications graphically illustrate the development of English military engineering from the 17th to the 20th century, being adapted to take account of the development of artillery over this period. Let me see how pictures will work. Oh, there's only one. How perfect. There's only one, which is a really nice, pretty picture. You can see the little fort right there. But yes, nonetheless, that worked out better than expected. Yes. Nevertheless, the naval base over here closed in 1995, and Bermuda has not been used as a naval base by any country since then. And that, in a nutshell, is the history of Bermuda. Now, let me fix this, so we'll zoom out. I'll adjust the camera so you can actually see the tablet. And we'll take a look at Google Earth, because Bermuda, like I said, is so pretty. And we'll look at the Bermuda Triangle. Let's go. Here we are in Bermuda. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. That's very important. Because like I said, most people think Bermuda's down here somewhere in the Caribbean. No. It's up here in the Atlantic Ocean. Zoom out even more so you can see there's the United States. It's over here. There's the Caribbean way down here. So let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is obviously Bermuda, down to Miami, down to Puerto Rico. Not the best line. Puerto Rico. I can't draw a straight line to save my life. Puerto Rico back to Bermuda, like this, right? So, the thing with the Bermuda Triangle is that evidently there's so many mysterious disappearings and mysterious sightings in this area. But I'm here to tell you that I 1000% do not believe in the Bermuda Triangle at all. And here's why. First of all, is I don't believe in UFOs. Second of all, that has to do with it. Second of all, if you took any major chunk of any ocean this size, it's just here, right? You will find just as many disappearances, mystery sinkings, strange sightings, so on and so forth, anywhere else in the world. This just blew out of proportion because one time, there was a mysterious aircraft that was unidentified, and then it's like, oh, all these stories happen in the Bermuda Triangle, but it doesn't. I promise you, mysterious disappearances, airplanes, ships, boats, what have you, happen all over the world. I can argue that there's places in the world that you could draw out this size of a chunk of the ocean and you'd find more disappearances than here. It's just an urban legend. It is not a thing. Relax. It's not a thing. Not at all. So let's talk about actual Bermuda and actual facts here. I guess let's go north to south. Up here is Fort St. Catherine, which you can see is where the very first settlers of Bermuda arrived. And it's a really cool fort jutting out there. There are so many forts all over these islands because, like I said, they're used as a military base and at some points in history as a prison. So there's lots and lots and lots of old-timey fortifications, old cannons and things. Pretty neat. Of course, this beautiful view of the ocean as well. There's a neat site over here. The unfinished church. See, there's a fort right here as well. The unfinished church. A church that began building in, I want to say, like the end of the 1600s. They ran out of money and never got around to finishing it. But it's very haunting. It looks like a ruin, right? It looks like we are just in Berkshire in the UK. It looks like all the like Donington Castle and the Reading Abbey, right? All those places that were destroyed. Looks like it's been destroyed, but it was just left as is. Never finished construction. It's quite haunting. Oh no, we're about to be shot at with a cannon. Let's get out of here. Let's see, over here is St. George's Island. St. George is over here. Although I don't think there's really anything I wanted to show you here, to be honest. Little ship terminal there for the cruise ships. Are there any cruise ships in? I can't tell. I don't think so. Not today when this was taken. Sir George Somers statue. Let's look at that. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Oh. He looks like he's having a bad day. Looks like he's caught in a windstorm, which he technically was. That's how he got here. But he looks like he's in agony. Help. Oh well. I don't know, maybe he's just really excited. He looks like he needs help. See, there's another fort right there. Lots of fun little islands over here. Another fort right there. They're all over the place. And of course, lots of neat little lighthouses as well. There's the airstrip. Right when I say that, an airplane is flying over. Holy moly, that's so funny. This is a neat little section right here. Let's start off with the slideshow. There it is. Disappeared and reappeared. Tom Moore's Jungle. Which isn't really a jungle. It's more of a forest. But that's a better name. Oh no, I'm offline. I don't think I am. Do you want to try again? That's more like it. Thank you. There's this little lake here. Blue Hole. At Blue Hole Park. Where you can jump into some nice water. There's some neat caves, hiking trails through all these cool, neat trees here. And see some fishies. See all the mangroves there? Mangroves grow in salt water. See the beach nearby. See the ocean. It's a neat little area. But those caves that you saw, this is a really good slideshow. We're going to check it out. Are the crystal caves. named so because the water that's at the bottom is crystal clear. It reflects all these stalactites really well. Look at that. There's a big banyan tree nearby. That's a really loud airplane outside. I hope that's okay. It's not super loud, but loud enough. Wow. Kind of eerie. As I've said many times, caves really kind of creep me out. Look at this. In 1914, Universal Pictures produced a movie entitled Neptune's Daughter, starring Australian champion swimmer Annette Kellerman in the leading role of Annette the Mermaid. As the movie begins, Annette swims through Bermuda's shark hole, and with some very imaginative editing, she manages to swim all the way into Crystal Cave, where she pleads desperately with the sea witch to make her mortal. Ironically, Annette Kellerman was herself committed to immortality when in the summer of 1908 she appeared on Boston's Revere Beach, shamelessly clad in a skirtless one-piece bathing suit. She was promptly arrested for indecent exposure. Annette, my goodness. But yeah, neat sights nearby, cool cave. I might skip this on my trip to Bermuda because caves weird me out, but it's like one of the more prettier caves that I've ever seen, so maybe I'd be a little brave and go inside the cave. Maybe. Big quarry right there. And then we make our way to Hamilton over here. Hamilton. There's a neat underwater museum here. The big squid. And lots of exhibits. Some treasures found because lots of shipwrecks have occurred. And the coral surrounding the islands. And also talking about there's scuba right there. Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Some good trivia for you. But is that deep sea mining? Looks by the looks of it. Not the best thing for the environment. Look at all the shells. That's beautiful. I'd love to visit. Oh no, the Bermuda Triangle. Anyway, oh how fun. Little interactive screens. More cool artifacts. I'd love to visit here. So lots of beaches, of course. The one I read about the most that popped up the most was Horseshoe Beach, which is right next to Butts Beach. Can't miss it. Horseshoe Bay, which has beautiful rocks and beautiful sand, beautiful swimming. And again, if you've seen my channel before, you know I love swimming. I just love being in water, like even like taking a bath or swimming in the pool. I love the feeling of being in the water. I don't know. I guess that like fish part of my brain, the amoeba part of my brain remembers being in the ocean. Like, that's my happy place. Or I guess the fetus part of my brain is like, yay, being submerged is nice. But like this would be me. This would be me when I'm in Bermuda. You would have to drag me out of this water. It looks so relaxing. It's so nice. It would take a lot to convince me to leave this kind of place. It's so pretty. I love swimming. Alright, let's head up the island here and check out. There's the bridge over there to Somerset. Let's drive up. Another fort right there. They're all over the place. They're all really neat slideshows. I just don't want to show you 10 different slideshows of forts. They're all kind of similar, you know. Heading up the islands here too. The old naval fort here. And we're going to look at the National Museum of Bermuda. You can swim with dolphins right there. Frog and onion pub. I'm down. But yeah. Look at this. Another fort. What a surprise. They're all over the place. There's Neptune. cruise ship, or Poseidon if you're Greek. National Museum here at the old fort. There's another cannon. More cool rocks. That looks like another terrifying cave. No, thank you. But yeah, I guess we'll look at the naval base too. Well, that's pretty. It's a nice mural. Let's look at the naval dockyard. Let's see what this looks like. Ta-da. More of the same, I suppose, but there's clock towers there. Reminds me of the ferry building in San Francisco, but double. You can see some of the coral there. Oh, some old school foam boxes there. Cannons. And old ships too. Piratey looking ships. And a rooster. And a big anchor. Lots of cool stuff to see. There is lots more that you can see. Oh, actually, one more thing. Glass Beach. You gotta see this. You gotta see this. You gotta see this. It's called Glass Beach for a reason. It is covered in sea glass, which is when glass is formed from the sand, because glass is made out of sand, and it's all soft and smooth, and it's not clear anymore. It's all foggy, and people can pick them up and make their names in it. It's a nice sand here. A nice sign here saying don't take glass, because if everyone takes a piece there won't be any more left. But that doesn't stop people from writing stuff in it. It is fun. Sea glass is really fun to touch. It's so smooth. Alright, as I was saying, there are lots of other fun slideshows here in Bermuda. I'd highly encourage you to check it out. But we are going to end this, my flash blue. We're going to end this underwater. Let's go here. Come on. It's thinking. It's thinking. Come on. There we go. We splash. And dun 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 dun. Are we under the water? We're trying. It's thinking very hard. Oh, look at Glass Beach over there. Let's try again. It's having a hard time. Let's go back to 2D. And, oh, there's a bunch over here. Maybe this will be better. Boom. We're under the water. It looks like shipwrecks are here. Wow. All covered in coral. That's neat. All the seagrass. Yeah. I bet you could find some treasures if you dug hard enough. Wow. All kinds of shipwrecks are all over these islands. Let's look. I want to see some coral. Let's look over here. And if it's good, we'll end the video here. Oh, this is beautiful. Cool. Wow, look at these brain corals. I don't know if they're technically brain corals, but they look like it. It's so neat. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. Let's look at another. I can't resist. I want to look at all of them. Please consider subscribing, as this is an ongoing series on my channel. We won't be able to look underwater at our next location because we're going to Switzerland. And in fact, we're not just going to Switzerland. We're going to the de facto capital of Switzerland. Oop. Sorry, there we go. Oh, wow. I need to get my scuba license so bad, so I can see this in real life. Wow. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thumbs up for the coral at the very least. And don't forget to drop a comment down below. Tell me your favorite fact and why it was that the Spanish thought it was haunted. Or debate me on the Bermuda Triangle. Go for it. Just don't be mean. Just know that I 1000% don't believe in the Bermuda Triangle. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. One more for good luck. One more for good luck. Let's see. We're upside down. We try this one way out in the... Whoa. I think I tried that one. It didn't work. Splash. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. I'm waiting for like a dolphin to just swim up. But I don't think there's any fish nearby. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. That was my chair squeaking. Sorry, as I'm leaning toward the mic so you can hear me better.